regularly riding on horseback the 3 miles from the house, his mansion, because this spot here, what was done here, made him more money than any other single spot in Mount Vernon. The making and selling of his rye whiskey produced here. This is reconstructed on its original site. So, how do you like the mill? Good. This distillery complemented the mill very well, made him even more money than the mill ever did. So the whole idea of having this whiskey distillery at Washington making whiskey came to him in really just his last 2-3 years of his life. When he and Martha Washington had retired home to Mount Vernon in 1797, after leaving the presidency, Washington was kind of contemplating and looking forward to a peaceful retirement back home in his beloved estate. He himself wrote that the remainder of my life, which in the course of nature cannot be long, will be spent in agricultural amusements. So during this time, he was also looking for a new way to make money. As fate would have it, his overall farm manager at this time, a man named James Anderson, brought up the idea to him of making and selling whiskey. Anderson had done it himself back in his native Scotland earlier in his life. And when Washington heard this, he was receptive but had some reservations. He wrote that the distillery is a business I am entirely unacquainted with. He had never done it before. And he had concerns about people he called idlers. People might come to him tempted to steal or make mischief. They knew that whiskey was being made at his home. But Anderson pushed back and just convinced Washington that it could work, that it was a profitable business, and this site here was the best site to do it on out of all his 12 square miles, in large part because simply the mill. The mill had been here already for 30 years by the time this was finally built. And it was convenient because the grains made at the mill, the corn, rye, and barley, could be used right here as the ingredients for the whiskey. It's very well put together in that sense. And Washington, who was a person once described as having a curious Yankee shrewdness in money matters, he checked with people to make sure that it could work. He wouldn't be wasting his money, but he was sure it could work, and so he gave him approval for it to go forward. It was built here finally in 1798. Definitely worth doing. For a moment in time, this may have been literally the most successful whiskey distillery in the United States. That's something we often don't learn about in school. He was the nation's top whiskey maker. Kind of cuts against the image of him, but no, he was an entrepreneur, investing in all types of things. But he even outdid another whiskey distiller going on out in Kentucky at the same time, overseen by a gentleman named Jim Beam. That name as well. But anyway, doing the work here were 6 enslaved young men, Hanson, Peter, Timothy, Daniel, James, and Nat. They were between the ages of 14 and 24, working here 6 days a week. Wash himself coming by almost every day on horseback. Just through all that work that's made this so successful here. So, when Washington passed away, after many productive years, the mill and the distillery went into decline, and it just wasn't managed as well in his absence. And by 1814, the distillery burned to the ground. What had once been the #1 in the country. So nothing here until 2005 or 6, when it was rebuilt and rose up from the ashes, so to speak, after extensive archaeological work. And today, it's a special place, still making money for Mount Vernon, because whiskey is still made here every March and November. Still literally made here on the same spot of ground where it was made for George Washington all those years ago. Still making money. So would you like to know how it's done?
Sure.
You're in this building. Sure. Starts out with fresh water. There's a fresh water well outside the wall. The water comes in here into the building. And bucket by bucket, the water is then placed in a big copper boiler over here. This is that big thing right there, the water. It's steaming up right now. Fire underneath, it heats up the water. When it gets to boiling temperature, they then carry the water from the boiler to the big barrels over on this corner of the building. Barrels here hold 120 gallons. Using a big wooden ladle, like a little barrel on a pole to do that.
Still made that way?
Yeah, still made that way. Yeah, I'll pick that up real fast so you can see that. Here's the ladle right here. Still use this. When we're done, you're welcome to pick it up. Take some of these up yourself to feel it. Yeah, put it in there, and you put the hot cold water in here. Here's where you stir in the ingredients: corn, rye, and barley. You stir them in using this big wooden rake, like this. Right there. But you stir it in, the corn, rye, and barley, and throwing in the ingredients, ground at the mill. Then you put in yeast. Yeast starts the process of fermentation. So yeast is what finally brings alcohol into the equation. Because you put the yeast in, gradually converts sugars in here into alcohol. It takes about 4 days. At the end of that, you have a mixture that's about 5% or so alcohol. So it's finally there, still not ready yet. So now this time it's taking kind of regular buckets of water. You take it now from here and put it in the brick ovens on the other side of the room here. You got these 5 brick ovens. Each one. I'll just walk through here. I just want to see here. Inside the bricks of each one, just kind of pan this around, is this big copper container. Hit it inside. Big copper pot container. And what they're doing is they're taking the 5% alcohol mixture from the barrels, putting it inside here, inside the ovens. And what they're doing is, the trick to getting the alcohol out, they heat it up to 174 degrees. That is alcohol's boiling temperature. It's not water. Water won't do that until about 40 degrees later at 212. But at 174, the alcohol will burn off, will boil off as a gas. So leaving it's still there, but now it's gas. Leaving the water still liquid behind. So that's how you do it. Of course, now we have to condense it so Washington can actually sell it and people can actually drink it. But they have a good way of doing that. That takes advantage of the mill again. To cool it down, the alcoholic gas rises up. It's collected in the top metal part above each oven. This is actually called the onion. There's only one way to go. The tube, the connecting tube, that's called a worm tube, which worms around or coils around inside the adjoining barrels next to each oven. To cool it down, they channel or divert cold water from the mill race outside. That same canal out there, the mill race that powers the mill with the water going through. So the water is coming in here, diverted to here, comes down these wooden slides. It falls down on the tube, which cools the tube down, condenses the alcoholic gas, condenses it into alcoholic liquid, which finally comes out behind. On the other, not the front, that's just water dripping out, like the spigot there. On the other side of each barrel, it's a little bit hard to see, but there are tubes protruding out behind, and that's where it comes out. And after a second run through again, it's now ready. It's now, at the end, it's 40% alcohol, 80 proof. And that's what Washington has put in barrels and sent down the Potomac River to the town of Alexandria. Leftovers, finally, leftover grains are given to his hogs and cattle, which he called a very desirable branch of the business. It's that part there, feeding his hogs that way. Yeah.
There's something significant about March and November for the making?
For us, it's just because our open season is April through October.
Oh, okay.
So just logistically, we do it when we're closed.
So when did they make it, Washington State?
All throughout the year.
Oh, throughout the year.
Full blast, yeah.
When did they put it in bottles?
Well, that would have been not Washington's responsibility. That would have been the tavern owners. As I understand it, would have done that.
Okay, so he sold it in barrels?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Were the slaves allowed to indulge in the whiskey?
And that, I don't know if they fixed it specifically. It certainly could have happened. Though I do know at some points, I believe, not just them, but with the other enslaved men and women of the plantation, there were times, I believe, where they could be given whiskey, maybe this one at some point after incentive. Yeah, and for soldiers, we're not privileged in war too.
I think they have done it, but you can't do it sustainably, right? That's the
Aging?
That's the way it works,
Right, yeah, Washington actually did not age his whiskey.
Oh,
But
really?
it's just so, it aged as long as it took to get from here to Alexandria. Today we age half of it, we do age for 2 years.
Do you have any to sell?
Yes, it's at the gift shop, Medford gift shop, the one up there and the one at the main estate.
Time's running short because the gift shop closes at 5.
This one, you can take this off, you can take that off. Put it in that way.
You're welcome. How do you get the remains out?
There's a spigot on the side,
Or the cooked up.
yeah.